Hello, my name is Joel McCray. So good to see everyone here with me on today. I know I really love just getting into this space and just creating videos and just really trying to help people understand how to get ideas out of the head. And so I know as we were trying to develop these modules and put everything together, it can become extremely overwhelming to just throw out tons of information. But what I'd like to do is to try to take that information and put it in a very practical way of something that you can use in a way that you can perform your ideas fluidly and without having to think a lot about it. So of course, every time I come at you, there are 5 things that I think that's very important about learning music. We want to learn music like grammar. And when you're understanding grammar, then the more you understand the grammar of a language, you can speak your ideas. You can have ideas swirling around in your head constantly. But if I had to say this in Japanese, or if I had to say it in Spanish, or if I had to say it in any other language outside of English, I have the ideas, but I don't understand the grammar of actually how to actually say what I'm thinking. Same thing with music. When it's time to say what you want to say, you find yourself in this place like, okay, I have all of these musical ideas in my head, but I want to figure out how to get it out. 5 things that cross my mind all the time. When I'm thinking about music, I think about the alphabet. The alphabet of music is the actual scale. So I believe one of the first things that everyone should learn will be the scales. There are actually 12 major scales on the piano. The more I am well versed with those scales, I can use that as my alphabet, which will be the building blocks of pretty much everything that we do. Once we get those scales, we move to intervals, and intervals is just the distance between notes. So again, what I like to do with intervals is say, for example, in the C scale, so I have the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So I want to think of intervals and just get my ear used to hearing like 1, 2, if I'm using the number system, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8, 1, 9. So if I can go beyond, understand those intervals and hear it up to a ninth, the distance as far as a second, a third, a fourth, I'm going to use those for 2 things. I'm going to use those intervals to either pick out a melody, or I'm going to use that interval to follow a bass line. And when I'm following bass lines, you're still having a key center. And the bass line that I wanted to look at really quickly is just a 6-2 bass line. So if I'm in the key of C, with C being 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now, if I wanted to say a 6-2, 6 would be A, 2 would be D. So now, if I were trying to actually have this 6-2 idea put together, then basically what I would actually try to do is say, okay, I want something that sounds like the A to the actual D. So one song that comes to mind is Games by Chucky Booker. And so you hear that line, 6, 2, 6, 2. That's the idea. You put that groove to it. I know y'all feel that, boy. Oh, I felt that in my back. So you got that 6, 2, 6, 2. Now, what I like to do on that, typically if we want to talk about chord progressions and how they work, we know that our major chords happen on 1. So 1, 4, and 5. All right, they sound major. 2 and 3 and 6 are going to sound minor. 2, 3, 6. All right. Then if I want to go to the 7, it's a weird sound called diminish. Not the prettiest sound in the world, but it's usually a passing tone to get somewhere. But if I played this 6-2 pattern, basically on the A, I'm playing A minor, and then I'd play D minor. Now, if you heard that sound, technically that's right, but I ain't feeling that. Because a lot of times those of us that play by ear, we're like saying, okay, classically, jazz-wise, those are the right progressions and that's the right harmony. How do I get that sound? So today I want to give you like a combination. I want to play on my 6 chord, I want to play a 5 chord, and that 5 chord would be G. All All right, so I'm gonna play a G chord, which would be G, B, D, and then I'm gonna play that over 6. So a 5 over 6, a 5 harmony with a 6 bass. Then when I go to the 2, which will be D, I'm gonna play F major 7, which will be an F, A, C, E. All right, so I'm gonna play G, F major 7, G, F major 7. Now watch what happens when I play that A bass and the D bass with a G over A, and then go to the D bass with an F major 7. Sounds way better. Now, that's a good technique if you're like saying, how do I play a 6-2 progression? A good 6-2 progression is to play a 5 chord over the 6, play basically a 4 major 7 over the 2. It gives you a really what we call the extended harmonies that you like. So if you would try that in different keys, if I were to go up to the key of D flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is B flat, and I'm gonna play A flat major. And then when I go to the 2, which will be E flat, 1, 2, I'm gonna play a 4 chord, which will be G flat major 7, G flat, B flat, D flat, and F. So now listen to it, 5 over 6, then 4 major 7 over 2. So you hear the difference? If y'all not feeling this, I'm gonna have to pray for y'all, because right here, even without the music, I can feel the groove. Now I'm gonna take it up. If I took it up a half step to the key of D, what's the 6 of D? 6 of D would be B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would be B. My 5 chord is A. And then my 4 chord, or 4 major 7, would be G major 7, which would be G, B, D, F sharp. And I'm gonna play that over E, which is the 2 of the D scale. All right, so listen to this, A over B, G major 7 over E. All right, so you got the same idea. That's a 6-2 progression. Now, if you would just take that idea and practice that in all 12 keys, but again, it's important to know the scale. If I know my scale, then I can practice my intervals. So I have a video coming out on scales so you can understand how scales work. And then we'll have a handout on my website where you can actually check out what notes are in the scales. And then we'll have a handout where you can see this. What exactly is a 6-2 progression and what's a nice harmony that you can play in order to pull that off. All right, I hope this was really helpful. 6-2 progression. It sounds kind of like the idea that you get from Games by Chucky Booker. And we'll come up with some other progressions. But again, understand your scales, understand your intervals, understand how chords work. We'll dig into that. Understand progressions. That's a pattern. Today we did a 6-2. Understand how those patterns can actually be used to create a song. The more we can work our way through those 5 steps, scales, intervals, chords, progressions, and then ultimately songs, you'll begin to understand the grammar behind music. Today we did 6-2. And I hope it's very helpful. All right, good seeing you all. We'll keep adding content. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll talk to you later.